Shut up and sit down.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fight for Liberty show. Today, we have a really awesome guest all the way from California. But first, I got to tell you guys about something awesome. I know I say it almost every show, but nugofknowledge.com is out here giving us some awesome high-quality CBD, CBG, and Delta 8 THC products. If you go on to their website, nugofknowledge.com, use promo code UNITY, you will get 10% off of everything that you buy your first time. And all of that money goes to either the movement. So, you're doing a good service by helping us out there. This, of course, is all on Free Speech Media Network. So if you guys are watching this on one of the lizard people websites like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, get the fuck off of that website. Go on to Trovo or DLive or Float and watch this stream over there so that you can also both earn crypto and help support more people in the liberty movement. Today's guest, though, all the way, like I said, from California, he is running for governor over there, Mr. Nikolas Wildstar. How's it going today, sir?
Incredible, David. Thank you again for sitting down with me, my friend.
My absolute pleasure. So first and foremost, how is it going over there on the left coast?
Going pretty good. I mean, people of California have been taking action against their tyrannical, governor, Gruesome Newsom, which you can see sinisterly looking over my shoulder. Thankfully to the people of California being upset, with his shenanigans, not only what he's done during the lockdown by, closing down businesses and schools for an excessive amount of time for an unscientific reason, but also, his activities before the lockdown by signing bills that prevented people from working as independent contractors and, continuing to tax us excessively and us not seeing anything from it. So Over the summer, I had joined in that voluntary effort to collect signatures to recall Governor Gavin Newsom. And thankfully, we were able to collect the needed amount to hit that threshold to get that recall going. So we gathered over 2 million signatures, I think almost 2.2 million signatures. Yeah. So it was no easy task. Trust me, as much as they want to try to make it sound like it was a walk in the park on the mainstream media, and it was this far right effort. It was really something that was spearheaded by all of the people of California, which, believe it or not, more so lean libertarian. I mean, with our last election, the majority of voters in California voted against tax increases, whether they tried to mask it as trying to improve our schools or our parks. We, the people, said no. We also voted to restore voting rights to felons and restore that right to work back to rideshare drivers under Prop 22. Unfortunately, it only applied to them and not everyone else. But as governor, that's something that I do plan on, nullifying immediately once elected. So that's what's been going on recently in the state of California. It's now turned into a circus, with the recall elections. It's like, here come all the performers, hitting the stage. And it's sad because it takes away from those people like myself who have actually, taken it upon themselves to, again, get involved in this effort by the community to take action against our tyrannical government officials, So we are doing our best to take control over our state government. It's a matter now of maintaining that control. And that's why it's very imperative that someone such as myself does get elected into the governor's seat.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something on Cajun's show that most of the time we'll kick somebody like this out and then replace them with somebody that's the same exact thing. You know, we do that. We've done that in New York plenty of times. California's got a pretty bad habit of being like, well, this Democrat was better. It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
Why would you think that?
Yeah, right. Especially when they're saying the exact same things. You know what I mean? There's some candidates running as Democrats already. One of the guys, he's, you know, I guess some YouTuber, some famous YouTuber, and he's running as a Democrat. And one of his policies, I guess, the housing crisis here is to build over 2 million homes in the state. Okay, one, where are you getting that money from? Number two, didn't Gavin Newsom say that? We have yet to see any homes produced from him making that promise on the campaign trail. So what makes me think that this guy is going to be able to do anything different, you know? So, yeah, if the people of California want to truly get away from the one-party government that's, again, been dictating our lives for over the past decade plus, we want to move away and try something new, you know, try a different type of candidate, get away from the celebrity politicians that pretty much are seeing it as an opportunity to further their branding, further their, you know, merchandising or name recognition or whatever the case may be. It's every self-serving purpose other than helping the people that they claim they want to get elected to help. Or else they would have been doing it this entire time. You know what I mean? Caitlyn Jenner, she's fallen onto the scene and being promoted as one of the leading candidates, but nobody in California is going to vote for her, man. I mean, just when it comes to her saying, I'm not an elitist, but I want to get rid of the elitist. Are you fucking kidding me? You know?
How much more elitist can you get than a Kardashian? Like, that's
exactly right. Yeah,
it's pretty much how out of touch do you have to be to think that you're not the elite as a Kardashian?
Yeah, not to mention Caitlyn Jenner, formerly Bruce Jenner, you know, elitist. You know, you were already part of that group of people, that oligarchy that didn't care too much about everybody else, or else you would have done more with your wealth, you know, with the amount of riches, the amount of connections that you have, you know. So no way in hell is she trying to improve the community now. So anybody that's believing that based on the media is, of course, being misinformed. But as I said, the people of California know better, which is why she isn't really being taken seriously by voters. And why more so people that are supportive of the recall should be supportive of somebody that's been involved in the recall, like me.
Yeah, I find it interesting. You brought up earlier that, you know, they're trying to paint this as like some right-wing takeover of California, and that like all the Republicans are ganging up on your dear Democratic leader. I was out there in September, like late August, early September. I was out in California circulating the petition to stop the ban on flavored drugs. And so many people were like, "Is this the Recall Newsom petition?" And I was like, "Sorry, no, that's not getting circulated yet. You gotta wait another month or so."
But I mean, you got that right.
I was getting the fucking like stoner hippies hanging out in fucking Oakland at the park. All of them just as excited as the MAGA hat wearing Walmart shoppers that I was petitioning at about an hour outside of the city. All of them, everyone I talked to, not everyone, but everywhere I went, a solid half of them were like, "Ooh, do you also have the recall petition?" Like all of them wanted to sign that shit. It's not right wing. It's not left wing. It's not this or that. It's like he was an awful fucking governor and people want him out. That's a bipartisan issue.
Right. I mean, even me and my efforts in collecting signatures, I purposely targeted Democratic majority voting areas. Even in the district that I live in my own neighborhood, I posted up in my local Walmart and was able to speak with a lot of people that were formerly and still, Gavin Newsom supporters. I had those people that were still supportive of him, and I would have to argue them about why he sucks. And a lot of them I was able to convert and be like, you know what, you're absolutely right. He does. Let me sign that petition after all. But
Nice.
But a lot of his supporters also said, hey, I voted for him, but I see what he's doing, and he's just not delivering as he had promised. I had hoped that he would have improved the living conditions for me, especially being a Democrat myself. They identified just based on the Democratic labeling, and they didn't really see any benefit from that. So when I then introduced myself as a libertarian Republican, a Ron Paul Republican, and they, had to identify with that now. I introduce myself as a candidate and say, hey, would you vote for me? And they say, of course. You're a much better choice as a representative than he is, because little things, you're out here. I'm talking to you face to face. You're putting in this effort that is much needed. You're not getting paid for it. And those things matter to the people in the community as much as the machine wants to take it for granted. Getting involved on a community level, on the ground level, is something that I have an advantage of, and I'm going to continue to utilize, hopefully, to get me into the governor's seat.
Yeah, I found that's important. I 100% agree. The idea that we can just kind of like walk into positions of power because of the letter that's next to our name is an idea that needs to be gone from American politics forever. But as far as Newsom goes, I found it really interesting that while I was carrying that petition, I had a better time with the opening pitch of "Help me stop Newsom's ban" than I did "Help me save the blunts."
Right.
I don't know how. I thought I stood outside of a fucking cookies dispensary in downtown Oakland for 2 hours yelling at everyone that came out of that dispensary going, hey, help me save the blunts. And not a fucking one of them signed. Not one single signature. Everyone was like, dude, I only smoke joints, like all natural, bro. Tobacco's bad for you. Like,
right. It causes an argument. It's like,
right. I was like, what do you mean? Like, these people were actually like full, like obviously stoners, smoke a whole bunch. They were completely fine with that ban because they don't touch nicotine. And I was like, okay, I get that you're a fucking hippie, but like, do you not remember like 3 years ago when we were fighting to be able to smoke weed in general? Like, don't you understand why criminalizing things is dumb?
Yeah.
Like weren't you part of that? No? Okay. But I say
you flip that up and said, hey, this is Newsom doing something wrong again, something that you guys don't like.
Yeah.
And line up for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even these vote blue no matter who.
Sign. I would let them know, hey, did you know that he signed a ban on flavored tobacco products that are going to, of course, lead to people losing their jobs, and that's something that we do not want, excuse me, during this pandemic panic, when millions of people are out of work right now and struggling to keep food on their table and a roof over their heads, and provide for their families. So we want to make sure as many jobs in California are as available as possible. Governor of California hasn't done that by, again, signing into law policies that have hurt the job market, whether it be the ban on flavored tobaccos or a ban on people working as an independent contractor. It definitely hasn't helped the economy for the people. So that's one of the things that I plan on doing under my Phoenix initiative, is basically just undoing everything that he's done to get the economy back on track, open up these businesses immediately, nullify that AB5 ban, nullify that flavored tobacco ban. All of those things are constitutional rights that are protected. So as an elected official, my first job, first and foremost, is to uphold that constitutional oath. So that's what I'll be doing first and foremost. A lot of people, when you talk about the constitutionality of your rights being protected, they argue it to say, well, you don't have a right to smoke a cigarette. Well, where does it say you have a right not to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and under the Ninth Amendment, which basically covers all other, rights that you have as a human being that isn't codified and discussed there in that, Book of Rights that the government recognizes. You still got to break that down to people too. Government does not give you your rights. You're born with all sorts of rights as a human being. That's why they're called human rights. The government does not dictate what your human rights are. Excuse me. So it's sad that we kind of have to go to the civics level and kind of educate our fellow voters on how the electoral system process works, just basically the basic functionalities of our government. Like I was saying, the application of the Constitution and our rights. That way people can know government's role in society to say, hey, he's acting outside of his authority by saying you can't put something that you want in your own body. That's your own personal choice, and can't nobody take that from you, So just little things like that, a lot of people can agree on, no matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party, whatever the case may be. Just speak with people about the common understandings of, our livelihood as human beings, the true race of what we are as a species. And let's focus on that first and foremost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with Dan, Taxationist Theft Berman, last night, and he said something that really clicked something in my head, because a lot of times, we hear Larry Sharp's 80-20 rule about, if they're 80% libertarian, we can work with them until, you get to the other 20% and whatever. And I hear a lot of conversation in that area of go out and find the people who are almost there. Dan was going off last night about going out and finding the people that are 3% libertarian, just some statist motherfuckers that don't get anything, and wake them the fuck up and make them anarchists. That's the goal that he's after. And I was like, there's not a lot of people that are doing that are just taking the complete idiots and trying to wake them up. Everyone wants to find the low-hanging fruit. And that's out there. There are a bunch of people out there who are who are almost there, who are just ready to buck the system, who are really close. But there's a bunch of other people out there too. There's a lot more fruit to be harvested. And
exactly,
you're 100% right. We just got to teach them. Some of these people, we have to just teach the basic civics level stuff.
Exactly. Well, when you widen that net, you're able to harvest more. And I've come to find that just off of, again, petitioning just to collect signatures to recall Gavin Newsom and get people to agree just on common understandings. Another thing that I use to kind of find common ground is talking about our money. That affects all of us.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, hey, we're paying money, which is our taxes, they're taking it. You're paying more gas taxes. You're paying more property taxes. Your income is being taxed more. Again, during a time when people are losing their jobs and struggling to make ends meet. Why are they not suspending those taxes? Why are they continuing to collect a paycheck that's collected from our taxes? So once I started to ask people those questions and got them to agree on how that was not reflective of what they wanted of their government, then they would be signing on the dotted line. And then I just slip in there, well, hey, I'm that guy that's going to be able to find that middle ground and make as many people in California happier by dealing with these issues, these common issues that we share, and let them know that I'm running to replace him, and then I get their support just by doing that. So it's a two-part effort. I feel like we as libertarians need to approach those who are not familiar with the idea of libertarianism or freedom or how it works, period. Since a lot of people are more neoconservatives and illiberals than anything,
Mm-hmm.
to show them how it works, and then you can kind of get them on your side just like that. And then the way that you seal the deal is by providing them with the alternative that they can be confident in, and be proud of to vote for. It's unfortunate that we don't have many quality candidates that we can again suggest to voters during a presidential campaign, because that's when this recall effort was happening. I was collecting signatures to recall Newsom, and I was also speaking with people about the presidential election. And since they were being told it's a right-wing effort on the news, they're automatically seeing me, a black guy, out there, and they're like, "You're a sellout, you're a Trump supporter, you're this, you're that." I'm like, actually, I voted for Joe Jorgensen, so come over here and let's talk about that.
Right.
And then, the hell is Joe Jorgensen? Oh,
right.
Well, she, actually, a woman, was on the ballot in all 50 states. You could have voted for her, had the first, woman president. But of course, due to the blackout by the mainstream media, they were unaware of her, and I was able to use that platform that I was able to now create just off of simply setting up a table, was able to introduce her to more people face to face. So that's exactly what we need to, again, is just to be able to connect with the person, with the statist, and then say, hey, if you don't like that person, here's a way to really attack that shit, because at this point it's boiling down to the statement of Frederick Douglass, one of the nation's first Republicans, who said, a man's freedom only comes through three boxes: the ballot box, the jury box, and the ammunition box, the bullet box. And I think at this point, a lot of people are getting frustrated with the ballot box. They're getting frustrated with the jury box. The George Floyd trial is a perfect example of that. As much as you may have had a lot of people that were satisfied with the conviction, where's the conviction of the other officers? What about all of the other officers across the entire country that have used their authority and used deadly force when it was unnecessary? So we need that jury box to be more active. And like I said, if people continue to grow more frustrated with exhausting the other two, that only leaves us with that bullet box, man. And a lot of people are ready to rock and roll in America.
Oh, yeah.
It's only a matter of time. I'm doing my best as a peacemaker to present the opportunity again of peaceful resolution and revolution through the ballot box. Yeah. But,
so speaking of that third box, I hear a lot of talk about it. Obviously, running in libertarian circles, we talk about that kind of stuff pretty often. I'm up here in Nazi York. You're out there in California. Which state do you think goes first?
Between us two or other ones? Because we got Florida, we got Texas, we got Minnesota. She just got exposed. Whitmer just got exposed for doing what Newsom was doing. Got caught out in a restaurant with more people and company than was imposing on the rest of us. You can only have 6 people at your table, but then being caught out at a restaurant with 12 people. Come on, man. Nobody's going to keep allowing that. You're still another person, and for some reason these people are putting themselves up on a pedestal as if they're untouchable, and they're not kings, they're not queens. This is America, and you can have your crown snatched away from your ass real quick. And a lot of them are either going to find out one way or another. Either you're going to lose that crown through the ballot box, you're going to lose that crown, literally, go get knocked off your head. Um, and hey, they already made an attempt to, kidnap her ass. So, it's a lot of things out there. And that's what I'm saying. The mainstream media, of course, is going to do their job as being propaganda, a propagandizing tool for the oligarchy, the autocracy that wants to continue to keep us controlled mentally and physically, at this point, by saying what we can and cannot do with our own bodies with regards to this coronavirus crisis. If I want to wear a mask or not, that should be my decision. If I want to get vaccinated or not, that should be my decision. I shouldn't be forced by government at the threat of a gun or being or having my freedom taken away from me just to comply. And a lot of Americans are feeling that way. That rebellious American spirit is starting to bubble once again.
Yes, 100%. I have been watching. My nephew's obsessed with this movie, so I've been watching it a little too much. I keep having to rewatch Hamilton, he's 5. I don't know why he's so into this musical, because he's got it doesn't have dinosaurs in it. I don't get it. But I've had so many days over the last year and a half where I think about the song, like The Story of Tonight, and just that idea of which one of these days that I'm out drinking beer with these heroes of liberty and devising plans on how we're going to win this state and that state, which one of these nights is that night of yep, that was the night where the right people got together, had the right idea, and fucking freedom happened.
Exactly. Oh yeah, man, we're definitely setting the tone for history to be made. And the new American Revolution is going to be one that lasts for generations. And we're definitely setting the foundation for that. If anything, I believe that our generation will be the catalyst of that, opposed to where before we kept seeing hints of that, time and time again, whether it be the Civil Rights Revolution or any other type of rebellion against government in our country beforehand. World War I, the Revolutionary War, all of that. Now, I feel like people are getting to that level where they're putting their differences aside. They're finding that common ground and realizing that, hey, my enemy's enemy is my friend. Mm-hmm. And if we can agree to get rid of them, then we'd be much happier despite our disagreements,
For sure.
So yeah, you got Boogie Boys going out and protecting Black Lives Matter activists and, throwing some Proud Boys and 3%ers, and the mainstream media going to be pulling their hair out, mm-hmm. as well as the establishment. Especially if they're able to get another group of people mobilized and backing them and supporting them,
Yeah.
So with what we're doing in California, I see one of your viewers asked a comment about the recall election and how it mm-hmm. works. The people will be asked 2 questions in that special election. They'll be asked, 1, would you like to recall Gavin Newsom? So if you're out there in California, please vote yes on would you like to recall Newsom? And part 2 of that is, if he does get recalled, who would you like to replace him with? And so the last time this happened in 2003, the first time we were able to successfully recall a governor in history in the state of California, there were over 135 candidates. And I believe so far there's about 30 or 40 that have already, filed with the state. So I'm pretty sure by the time this election rolls around, that 100+ number could be the same. But that's why I'm doing my best to kind of rise above the crop, let people know, vote Nikolas Wildstar, vote yes on the recall, and then vote yes, Nikolas Wildstar to replace Gruesome Newsom, So we can try something different in the state of California. We still will have an actual gubernatorial election next year. So the new governor will only be in office a year before they have a possibility to, get replaced out of office. So your year in office is your campaign, pretty much, for this next governor. But though it's winner takes all in the special election. So the person or candidate that gets, over 33%, then, or gets the majority, that would be the winning candidate.
And with 100 or plus candidates, that could literally be like 10 if it's split crazily amongst people.
Exactly. Oh yeah. When this last special election happened, when we recalled our Democratic governor Gray Davis, and we got Arnold Schwarzenegger instead, he ended up winning that election with a little over 40%. So that goes to show you how wide open this special election is, seeing as how unpopular many of the candidates that have already, thrown their hat into the ring are, like Caitlyn Jenner, like John Cox, like Kevin Faulconer. A lot of these people are like, who? To some people. I'll ask some of the people that I know, this person is running for governor, and they've never heard of them before. And then you have people on the right, the far right extremists in the state, the Trump Republicans, who think, somebody like Rick Grenell or some other guy, I don't know, who said he just announced recently, but they're holding their breath for one of these guys to win, and it's just not going to happen. A Trump Republican is not going to win in California. Just sheer numbers, registration, the number of registered voters in California, Republicans are outnumbered by Democrats 2-1. You throw in libertarians, independents, green parties, no party preference. It goes up to 4 or 5-1. Yep. So we simply do not have the numbers to unseat a Democrat in the state unless you meet them halfway. You got to meet the voters of California halfway, and you got to know what the voters want. Yeah. And as I said, I've spoken to thousands of voters face to face about not only why they don't like Gavin Newsom, but what they want from their government officials. And really, they just want somebody responsible, somebody that's going to do as they say, someone that's going to swear their allegiance to the people of California and nobody else, and follow through on that promise. So that's exactly what I offer to the people of California, and hopefully I'll get an opportunity to be heard by more people so I can deliver on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it cracks me up. Being from New York, I get to talk to people in a very similar mindset who are all like, 2018 rolled around. I was working for Larry Sharp, and they're all like, no, but Mark Molinaro can win. We can take this state back for the Republicans. Like, we can beat Cuomo. It's like, how fucking stupid are you? Like, what do you mean we can take it back? Like, you're not even running a good Republican.
Right.
Like, Mark Molinaro was awful. He was from like Westchester County. It would be like y'all running a Republican from LA. It's like, or not even LA. It would be like running a Republican from Santa Monica. It's like, no, that's not even a Republican.
Right. Unless it's like
Cuomo got 73%. Yeah, well, yeah. If he was famous and sexy like Arnold Schwarzenegger, then maybe. but yeah, Cuomo got 73% of the vote in his reelection in 2018. Like he destroyed the Republican Party and the rest of us. We took 4th place in that election. It was like, come on, you had something there. Wake up. So I'm curious. I know that you've had plenty of terrible run-ins with the government. I want to know, what was the first experience where you were like, the fuck is going on here? Why is the government fucking me?
Ooh, that's actually a good question, because I would say, I have to say, before I started my political career, I had several times where I had just, why is the government fucking me over type of moments, of starting from the first time I got paid as a teenager, in my first job, 14, I'm out there busting my ass at my first job, thinking I'm, going to rack up, and I'm counting my dollars, and I get my first paycheck, and I see like $100 missing. That's my boss. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what is this? He's like, hey, it's taxes. Everybody pays taxes. I'm like, why? You know what? Do I get a say in this? I'm 14. I want all my money. Or I at least want to say where my taxes are going. If I want to, have the pool near my house be improved, or the park, or whatever the case. And I wasn't seeing that. But I have multiple instances growing up like that. That happened. Another time when I was a teenager, someone at the school I was attending said I stole $10 from them. And the police came to the school, put me in handcuffs. Okay, I had to be maybe, I think maybe around 14 or so, 13, 14. And they took me home from my school in cuffs in the back seat of the police car, and these are my first experiences to the, law enforcement agencies. One of the last times, I would say, before I got involved in politics, was I was dating a girl, and while we were dating, I ended up getting a dog, right? And she introduced me to the person I adopted the dog from. And the dog was mine, always lived with me. We were together for maybe 6 months, 8 months, something like that. And we ended up breaking up. And we had this agreement where she gets to visit the dog. She ends up taking the dog, getting the dog registered in her name. And I'm at home hanging out with my dog, and the cops knock on my door. This is like a few days before Christmas, man. The cops knock on my door and say, hey, we're here to take your dog. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, this person said, she's the owner of your dog. And they took my dog through that restraining order or whatever it was. But
Jesus Christ.
I ended up going to court, beating it, beating the restraining order. The judge threw it out, actually. And I'm like, okay, well, can I get my dog back, since that was part of this? The judge says I have to go to civil court now to get the dog back. I'm like, wait a minute, you used the criminal courts to take my dog. But now I have to sue her and prove that the dog is mine to get it back, when you already said that you took the dog out of error. So, that didn't sit well with me. I went to the civil courts, ended up losing. She kept the dog. My heart was broken, That was maybe one of the last few times. I lost you there.
There we go.
His heart, too. I don't know what is it, man. Every time I do an interview, it's like technical difficulties. We were just talking about the Cajun Libertarian deal.
Yeah, it's the lizard people, man. They don't want to hear you spread your message, man.
No, they don't. They don't want me to get elected. I'm telling you. I'd pull the curtain back.
Oh my gosh. So I was, you said, I was dating this girl, and I was like, my brain went into, some stories that I've heard all the time about, the fucking civil court and stuff like that. Then you said a dog, like that's crossing a fucking line. Like,
right.
Send me to jail. Don't take my dog.
Right.
Fuck you. Like, what? That's a whole other level of demons walking among us right there.
I was heartbroken, man. I spent Christmas alone that year. I was hoping to hang out with a dog, But yeah,
God.
Thankfully after that I met my wife, greatest blessing in the world.
Awful.
She fixed that hole in my heart. Smoke break.
That's awesome. Yeah, smoke breaks are the best on live. So that's you had quite a resume of getting fucked by the government before you entered this, and you got put on my radar when you got arrested a couple months ago for your fun little shenanigans in the courthouse. Was how I first heard your name.
And what's funny is I've been doing that forever, man. You know what I'm saying? That it was just that last time where they were like, "Okay, we've had enough," Yeah. I mean, because I've had multiple court cases since 2013 where I've recorded in court every single time. That was like my MO. They knew me in Orange County for recording in court, even during my own damn trial and shit. So I ended up, like I said, gaining a reputation as kind of being this guy that's a thorn in the side of law enforcement in Orange County. And one of the last few incidents where I got arrested for walking while black, this is another video that I have on YouTube, another viral video. Walking to work, ended up getting snatched up by the cops within 10 seconds or so for fitting the description, okay? So I spent a few hours in jail and was released, but was charged with disorderly conduct, right? For a false arrest. I had to go to court, fight off these charges. Thankfully, I was able to get representation that beat off those criminal charges, or else I would have went to jail for that. But they beat them off, and I ended up suing the city of Fullerton and winning. They didn't like that, the fact that I had filed a suit against them and, proven that, hey, they had indeed made a civil rights violation with their actions, Although they didn't admit liability, they still paid me. So when I did this, I'm pretty sure that upset the district attorney and got me in even more of a reputation, as not being somebody that liked by law enforcement. But next thing you know, I ended up having out warrants for my arrest for recording in court because I had some traffic tickets I was told about during that trial. My attorney said, "Hey, you got these traffic tickets, go and deal with them or whatever, and then pretty much you'll be clear." So I go to court to deal with these traffic tickets, and I'm recording in court, doing my usual deal, which they all know me for. And I get kicked out of the courtroom both times for doing so, But the videos went viral. They didn't like that either. And I ended up having warrants put out for my arrest for contempt of court. There we go. Contempt of court is what they charged me with for recording in court. And that's a constitutionally protected right under the First Amendment. It goes without saying, freedom of press. There's been tons of, circuit court cases across the country that have proven this and argued this in court, that it's not a violation of privacy rights when you're a public official providing a public service. You're a public official and in a public place. So anything that happens in a public place can be recorded. And that's exactly what I did, was record my own public cases, and was charged criminally for doing so. And this dragged on for over 2 years, man. I even spent 9 days in jail over contesting the charges in court again and missing my son's first Christmas, And recently just had a trial earlier this year. Was on trial for contempt of court for these recording in court charges, and was found guilty by a jury. 12 people in Orange County, man, unanimously said I was a criminal for exercising my constitutionally protected right. And California law protects it as well. I mean, the court rule that they cited, that they said that I broke, was me not being able to have a cell phone in court, as well as the judge telling me to put away my phone. So that's considered a lawful order when a judicial official or law official tells you to do something. So when a cop comes up to you and says, "Hey, put down that can," and you say, "Hell no, fuck you, cop," what that cop just said actually was a lawful order. And if you don't comply, they can arrest you and make hell for you. And that happens all day, every day, man. And that's what happened with me. I got found guilty. I was sentenced to 40 hours community service, like $600 in fines, and it's crazy because, again, I didn't do anything wrong. There's no victim, no crime, and it definitely was not a violent offense. If anything, no one was hurt except for the court, which can't make their own rules. The court can't create law. We, the people, create law. And by making sure that our legislators know that we support this law. I don't think anybody would support that law at all if it was one at all. So right now I'm appealing the charges and I'm hoping to have it overturned. So, the people of California, not only myself, but everyone in the state, would be able to continue to exercise that right freely. We should be able to record elected officials in a public place, in a public capacity, whether it's a judge or a police officer or, an elected official at City Hall. City Hall is a public place, and those are public officials providing a public service. So if I walk in there with my cell phone and, record, as I've done many times before, and that's what was absurd about those court charges, is that, again, I've done it before time and time again in the past. Why did they choose those in particular? Is because the videos, what I was talking about in those videos, what was more important. So that's the information that people should walk away with. When you watch those videos, listen to what I'm saying. That's what's most important. That's the information that they don't want you to hear.
Are those videos up on the Black Side of Liberty, or is that on a different YouTube?
Oh, that's my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel is Governor Wildstar. You can find my podcast, Black Side of Liberty, on there. Try to do as many interviews as I can and share my platform with other libertarians and, other freedom fighters that need to be heard. So please check that out on my YouTube channel, Governor Wildstar. But yeah, all of my other videos, court, protests, debates, all that good stuff. This interview probably, in the future will be put back on that YouTube channel. So definitely be sure to subscribe and share. I actually just hit 30,000 subscribers. So thank you very much for subscribing.
Nice.
And helping Governor Wildstar reach more people.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. 30,000, that's an impressive number.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my channel got over 6 million views, man. I'm always astonished at which videos actually go viral because, I always do crazy shit and just post them all. And, it's always hit or miss. Some videos have 10 views. Some of them have 10,000 views, And, but I share all of as many different videos as I can, you know, interactions, engagements, etc. Just because, again, I'm doing my best to put myself out there as a, you know, a public official, you know, a public representative. And I want to be an elected official. So if people really want to see what I can do as an elected official, a representative of you, we the people, help me get elected governor of California. And you don't need to be a Californian to get involved in that effort. A lot of people say, you know, well, I'm in Texas or I'm in Iowa. How can I help? You know, send money.
All sorts of ways. Oh, yeah.
If you're on social media and shit, share my videos, share my posts. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff helps. Mm-hmm. And that's the stuff that, you know, the establishment candidates, you know, are paying for. The mainstream candidates, they're paying for your attention. Mm-hmm. Don't let them buy you. Don't let them buy your attention. Don't let them buy your mind. Don't let them buy your vote. You know, so if I'm not going to sell out, you can't sell out. The way that we can help each other is just by taking advantage of our resources. And the greatest one that we have to our advantage is word of mouth. You know, we create the news right now. If one of my videos go viral and shit, you know, and in a short amount of time and gets the attention of the news, they're going to carry that story. But millions of people have already seen it. You know what I'm saying? They were the newscasters before the mainstream media chose to break the story, you know? So, yeah, people need to realize that they're the real power. You're the real voice. So don't let them censor you. Don't let them silence you. And definitely scream out at the mountaintops, man. That's what I'm doing. Shit. And that's what you're doing too, Fite. Thank you for sharing your stage with me, man, giving me an opportunity to be heard by more.
Hell yeah. I've been a fan of yours since you first came on my radar. I love your energy and like how fucking fired you are for liberty. Like we need a lot more people like you in the movement. And the thing is, we're getting a lot more people like you in the movement. Like you and those of you that exist are rising up and like becoming more popular, and it's really awesome to watch happen because they're like, when I joined the party, everybody was like, oh yeah, I know libertarians. That's like that Ron Paul, Gary Johnson shit, right? And it's like, yeah, Ron Paul, Gary Johnson, they're good. I like them both. Have a fuck ton of respect for both of them. But it's like, yeah, we're that like old white dude, boring economist shit. Yep, that's us. Right. Like that's all we got. You know, guns and drugs and wars. That's, you know, that's our thing. Right, exactly. And now we've got people like yourself. We've got like Spike Cohen, Dave Smith. Right. You know, we've got just people out here that are spreading liberty in very different ways all over the spectrum. And one thing, you know, you were talking about, you know, how can people help? You're running in a state where there is no one watching this right now that doesn't know someone that lives in California.
All right,
like,
good to
know. I know that for a fact. Well, it's just we all have at least one friend from California. Like, you know that if you're watching this and you share one of Nick's videos, you know someone in California is going to watch that. It's just inevitable based on statistics of like Twitter usership in that state. It's ridiculous. Someone from California is going to benefit because you shared Nick's video. So if you're like, oh, well, I'm in Iowa, your second cousin's brother's aunt coworker who follows you on Twitter, it lives in California. So, you know, just fucking suck it up and just share shit.
Exactly. Enjoy the video. Hey, it helps me gain more recognition. That's all that matters. You know, any of my posts, we gotta create some synergy here, you know, and if we can be the driving energy behind propelling each other and getting each other more attention, because that's really all that's needed in order to win these elections. It's a popularity contest, you know, so the more people in the state of California that know my name, the easier it is and the easier that it's going to be for me to win an election and beat out this guy, you know what I mean, or anybody that comes along. because the policies that I present will make me stand out above the rest. We just need to first get them introduced to me. I'll take care of the rest and seal the deal. So
Right.
I'll be the closer. Trust me.
You've got some skills in that area for sure. I was fired up watching your episode with Cajun earlier. I was just like, yeah, this guy gets it. This guy's got the sound bites. He's got the long form explanations of those sound bites. It's hard to find those two together in one person with the energy to keep people engaged through that transition. A lot of people, they hear the soundbite and then the person will be like, and what I mean by taxation is theft, and then like tries to explain it and they're gone by then. But you've got that to keep them hooked, and I love it. I'm excited to see what happens in California. I'm not going to say the state by its real name the whole time. I'm just going to keep calling it that.
I'll get it to earn back its real naming rights.
There you go.
Have California be better than ever before.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see that. I'm curious what you think about the idea of splitting up the state.
Actually, I'm a Cal Exit Congress member, so I'm part of the Yes California movement out here in the state. So, excuse me. Every Sunday, if you go onto my YouTube channel, you'll see those Yes California Congress meetings. And I'm actually one of the first candidates that came out in support of California secession. During the petitioning, collecting signatures for recalling Newsom, I was also collecting signatures for the Cal Exit petition that was being circulated to research California independence. And mainly, again, based on the amount of money, talk to people, let them know, hey, we're loaning more money to the federal government than we borrow. Uh-oh, I lost you again. There you go.
There we go. Man,
you catch all of that?
I caught none of that.
Damn!
I cut out as soon as I asked the question. Fucking hell.
Wow! See, you're right, man. They're trying to throttle this feed right here. But yeah, I am actually a Yes California Congress member and am promoting Cal Exit out here in the state. I've been collecting signatures for the petition to explore California independence during the recall to get rid of Newsom. So I was doing both out there, talking to people, and I again was able to attract them based on the amount of money that the state of California, gives the federal government to fund other state programs in other states. Why is there other states across the country that have better educational systems, better healthcare systems? Excuse me, their social programs are better where the people are living off of $30,000 in welfare versus in California, that's a drop in the bucket. People, it goes a lot further in another state versus here in the state. So if we kept that money here in the state, we'd be able to help those in need first and foremost. And a lot of people agreed with that. So they definitely see the benefits of California independence. And I've been one of the first candidates out there speaking about how we could benefit from separating ourselves or business wise from the federal government, ending that relationship with the federal government, at least until they get their act straight. We can continue to do business with other states, which I'm pretty sure, Nevada and Utah and Arizona and all other states would like to continue to do business with the people of California. Other countries. Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, if I get elected, definitely.
There you go.
If Newsom stays in power, and that was the biggest fear that a lot of the people said was, hey, if we do become our own country, I don't want somebody like him in charge because he'd be a dictator. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. That's one of the risks that we do take. But one of the ways that we can, again, make sure that we're covering our bases is by making sure that someone such as myself, gets put in that position to replace him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I completely support the California independence movement. I'm part of it myself. I actually campaigned on it back in 2018 when I ran for governor as the Libertarian candidate, and I'm campaigning again on it now. I did also in 2014 when I first ran and first heard of the Jefferson State project, which is another California independence project out here, as well as the 7 states California movement, where they were trying to break up the state into multiple states. So the people of California definitely wanted, especially those in the northern regions. I live in central Fresno, or central California, where in Fresno, where a lot of our farming industry is. And so when you talk about the drought and having food on our tables, not only here in California, but across the country, we provide over half of the nation's fruits and vegetables. So if we want to continue to be able to eat, we want to make sure that our farmers have everything that they need to do the job. Right now, they don't, which is why we're on the path to scarcity. And that's definitely being manufactured by our government officials. And before they start to take responsibility for it, it'll be too late. So we definitely need to step up and take action now. And this coronavirus crisis is no greater reason for us to do so.
Hell yeah. I like the term you used earlier, pandemic panic.
Yeah. For real, because people are still going crazy about it. It's like, even with all of the new CDC, recommendations, even though they're flip-flopping, 1 minute they're saying, hey, don't wear your mask out in public, even if you're vaccinated. And then, a month later, they're saying, okay, it's okay for you to wear your mask outside, even though you're not vaccinated. And it's created this atmosphere of fear, where now everybody's pretty much just acting like hypochondriacs. They don't want to touch anything. They don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want to make contact because they fear like they're going to lose their life if they do. So despite the so-called health officials making their recommendations, people are now conditioned to where they are reacting in fear. And they continue to wear the muzzle. They continue to get vaccinated despite all of the, facts about it that comes out, that it's not a vaccination, that it's actually a CRISPR injection, a DNA modification tool being injected into your body, Yep. These are a lot of things that people are not aware of. Even the Johnson & Johnson blood clot discovery, that happened months before the CDC finally chose to officially acknowledge it. And they basically just slapped the label on it. They didn't stop it altogether. They just let people know that, hey, if you do continue to get the J&J vaccine, it's a possibility you may get blood clots. And you continue to take that risk.
Yeah, just minor side effects like death.
Yeah, minor, like loss of life. It's a possibility. And if that does happen, there is no liability. If you happen to have a serious side effect that's life altering, there is no liability. You are, in a sense, giving them your consent by going ahead and allowing them to inject you with that experimental injection, because it is right now only being authorized for use for emergency use. It's an EUA. It has an EUA approval, emergency use authorization approval, by the FDA. So it's not FDA approved like a lot of people like to claim. No, it's only been approved for emergency use. Under the emergency use, it says that if something happens to you, there is nobody you can blame, nobody you can sue, no fault on anyone except for your own.
Yep.
So it's sad that, again, our elected officials aren't filling people in with all of these details and giving them all of this information before they choose to, put that into their bodies. But that's, of course, something that I will be doing immediately. And I'm already doing.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people misunderstand that term emergency use authorization. That doesn't mean we really need it really bad, so they skipped the line and authorized it. It means if it's an emergency and you are in serious danger of like loss of life from the disease, then you might want to use the vaccine. They're completely misconstruing like the entire meaning of an emergency use authorization. Like that literally just means use for like life-threatening emergencies. Like that's what that's about.
Right. And right now it's definitely not a life-threatening emergency.
Not for most people.
Known with over years of study. And of course the obvious, since we're looking around at everybody and the majority of us are still alive. So
shocker.
Right. It's a 99% survival rate, even if you were to contract the virus, because they're too busy focusing on the amount of cases, that are being contracted versus the amount of deaths. The amount of deaths continue to go down. The more confirmed cases that you have, it causes this, amount to go down. And right now in the state of California, they're not even talking about the amount of deaths anymore because there's so few. But yet we still have a governor that's imposing these emergency acts on us with these lockdowns, with these unconstitutional lockdowns, with these unconstitutional business closures and school closures. So he definitely needs to be removed from power as soon as possible. So that's why I'm encouraging everyone to, of course, vote yes on that recall to get him out of office and to elect me to get in there to replace him.
Hell yeah. All right, well, before we wrap up, tell people how, other than the donations that we already talked about, how can people help support your campaign and just any other activism stuff that you're working on?
Yes, please, of course. Visit my website, wildstar2022.com. That's Wildstar, just like my name at the bottom of the screen, 2022.com, and get involved today. Fill out one of those pledge cards, join Team Wildstar. I am looking for staffers, people to help with fundraising. Thank you very much. Right there. Visit the website, get involved. Help me spread the message. Like I said, all of my social media icons are there: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So please connect with me. Please spread the message by sharing any of my posts on social media or my YouTube channel, YouTube videos on there. And of course, if you are able to contribute, no matter how much you can, I'm 100% funded by We the People. So every little bit helps. Right now, I'm trying to get lawn signs. I'm trying to hit $300 in donations for lawn signs. So if you can help me chip in towards that effort, hit that donate button today and again, contribute whatever you can. But I'm doing what I can as a candidate to help, of course, build my name recognition. So part of that, since I am running as a Republican, is I have to rebrand the Republican identity in the state. So I'm spearheading another project called Cali Republican. I want to, establish the identity of the California Republican, which is completely unique and different than the National Republican Party and the Trump Republicans or whatever, and I want to be a representative of those California Republican voters. So I'm getting involved on a precinct level and asking those people that would like to be instrumental in taking over our political parties on the ground level to join me in that effort. So if you're in the state of California and want to get involved in a precinct takeover, then definitely contact me through my website, wildstar2022.com, to get more information on how you can get involved with that.
All right, guys, go do that. Wildstar2020.com. Pitch in. 2022. My bad.
We're in the future now, man.
Yeah, right? Jesus. 2020 will forever be baked into my brain. I worked on too many campaigns last year. Wildstar2022.com. Help him out in any way that you possibly can. And his Twitter handle has been scrolling across the bottom for a good chunk of this video. The Real Cue Ball. Go follow him on Twitter. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Go watch his podcast. All the fun things. Nick, thank you so much for coming on. This was great.
The blessing. Trust me. Thank you. The pleasure was all mine. I look forward to another conversation again soon.
Oh, for sure. And guys, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. I think it's that way. Like the video, share it out. Tell all your friends about Mr. Wildstar, future governor of California. And to close out, I have a little treat from you guys from last night to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the nomination for president and vice president. There was a video that got put out by our former vice presidential candidate, Fite that I'm going to play for you guys here real quick. So we're going to play that. And after that, I will see you guys next week.
We're going to spread the message of liberty far and wide, and I appreciate this, and I will have plenty of other speeches. This is a rare moment of me not having much to say, so I will yield the rest of my time to my running mate.
1 year ago today, the Libertarian Party nominated me to run for vice president. It was one of the greatest honors of my life to travel across America to meet everyday people where they were, in person and online, and listen to them. I spoke with people whose lives had been upended by a government who mistreated them, told them they weren't essential, made their lives too expensive to afford for themselves, and sometimes even abused them and put them in cages. I spoke with people who overcame incredible odds, reached for the stars against everything that was thrown at them, and thrived. I listened to their experiences and shared with them how liberty can make their lives freer, happier, and better than ever before. America needs solutions. And since the election, my team and I have continued to travel the country, helping people, pushing for change, and offering them our solutions. In the last year, we've been to 40 states at over 100 events, reached countless people, and spread the message of liberty far and wide.
All right, let's do some revolution shit.
And we're just getting started.
Guys, go to spikecohen.com/first to be the first people to find out what something big is coming. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you back here next time. Actually, next time is in about an hour and 15 minutes with Mr. Todd Hagopian, the Libertarian-in-Chief. Catch you back there. Until then, keep up the fight.